At 2:47 in the morning, Daniel Reyes gets up for a glass of water. He doesn't bother with the hallway light. He's walked this path 1,000 times. 6 steps in, his bare heel comes down on something small, hard, and angled exactly wrong. He doesn't just yelp. He goes down. By the time the ambulance leaves, Daniel has a broken wrist, a concussion, and a question nobody in his family can answer yet. What actually happened on that floor? The answer starts 3 years earlier in a shoebox his own father left him. A shoebox full of Hot Wheels. Daniel inherited the collection when his dad passed. Nearly 200 die-cast cars, some from the 1970s, still in their blister packs. He kept them for himself at first. Then his son, Matteo, turned 3, discovered the box, and Daniel made a decision that felt harmless. He let him play. What Daniel didn't know is that this 2-inch toy, sitting quietly on shelves and in toy boxes in millions of homes, has killed people. Not through some freak, 1 in a billion accident. Through 5 separate, well-documented mechanisms, and Daniel's family was about to run into every single one of them. The first danger isn't in the toy, it's under your foot. Falls are the single most common way toys injure people in a home, and small, hard, wheeled objects are some of the worst offenders. They don't crush or give way like a stuffed animal would. Home falls send more people to the hospital every year in the US than car accidents, and a disproportionate number happen barefoot, at night, on an object nobody remembers dropping. For an older adult, or anyone caught off guard in the dark, a fall like Daniel's isn't a stumble. It's a broken hip, a head injury, sometimes worse. Matteo hadn't put the car in the hallway to hurt anyone. He'd just left it there, the way 3-year-olds leave everything everywhere. That's the trap. Nobody has to do anything wrong for this one to work. 2 weeks earlier, a different car, one of the older ones, had lost a wheel. The axle just slid out. Daniel didn't think much of it, but it's exactly the failure mode that's triggered federal recalls again and again. Wheels and hubcaps on die-cast and toy vehicles detaching and becoming small enough to lodge in a toddler's airway. It's not a design flaw unique to one bad batch. It's a known weak point in how these wheels are pressed onto their axles, and it's why the US Consumer Product Safety Commission has pulled toy cars off shelves for exactly this reason, more than once. Matteo never put that loose wheel in his mouth. This time, here's what pediatric surgeons see when a small child does swallow something that size and shape. It doesn't always come back out on its own. Most swallowed objects pass through safely, but a meaningful share gets stuck, lodged in the small intestine, cutting off blood flow to the tissue around it. Surgical case reports describe children opened up in operating rooms to remove exactly this kind of object. Small, rigid, metal or hard plastic, too big to pass a narrowing point in the gut. Left too long, that blockage doesn't just cause pain, it can perforate the bowel entirely. This is the part of the story that never makes it into a toy aisle, not the choke. The week after, if nobody caught it in time. Daniel's favourite piece in the box was a die-cast car his dad had bought new, 1978. He used to let Matteo hold it, while he told him stories about Grandpa. What he didn't know, toys made before 1978 in the US predate the modern lead paint ban, and lead doesn't announce itself. It has no smell, no taste, a toddler would notice, and it builds up in a developing brain with effects that don't show up for years. This isn't hypothetical. In 2007, Mattel recalled hundreds of thousands of die-cast Hot Wheels cars specifically because a contractor's paint pigment came back with lead levels over the legal limit. A toy already sitting in living rooms, already being handed to kids, was pulled back off the market for exactly this. The car Daniel handed his son to hold, to chew on the edge of while Grandpa's story went on a little too long. That's not a hypothetical risk. That's the exact one. The last one is the simplest. Die-cast metal doesn't wear like plastic. It chips. It bends. A car run over a hardwood floor for 3 years develops burrs and edges sharp enough to open skin. Not a bruise, a cut. Sometimes deep enough to need stitches. It's the reason the same recalls that pull cars for choking hazards often cite sharp edge right next to it. The toy doesn't have to break for this to happen. It just has to be old enough and used enough, the way every well-loved toy eventually is. Which brings us back to 2:47 a.m. What Daniel stepped on wasn't just a toy car. It was the one with the missing wheel, the axle end exposed, filed down to a point by months of rolling across tile. He didn't just trip. He came down barefoot on a sharpened metal edge in the dark, at the exact spot where his son had been playing 6 hours earlier. One toy, 5 separate ways to end up in an emergency room. And every single one of them had already happened to someone else's family on record before it happened to his. Hot Wheels aren't rare or defective. They're one of the best-selling toys ever made, sitting in bins and shoeboxes in more homes than almost anything else with wheels. That's exactly why this matters, not because the toy is unusually dangerous, but because it's unusually common. And common is where accidents actually happen. Check the floor before you walk it at night. Check the axles before you hand a car to a toddler. And if a piece is missing, don't assume it just rolled under the couch.